There's a race war going on in the military and nobody talks about it. That video that Master Sergeant Roth posted was not simply because he wanted to rage bait. He did it because he knew what community would respond. He wanted a reaction out of said community. The reason I said it's a race war is because he and everybody else that's in the comments are validating the reason that they see fit, and it is hate. That's the only thing stemming from his video, hate and racism. And they're going to do what? Mask it as rage bait, or mask it as, oh, simply I don't like your beard and I don't like you having a, abusing what? A profile. No.
I mm, mm. I can't wait until we can sit down and have an honest conversation about beards. And as you can see, I have a beard, so I'm always going to be pro beard. But I think it's going to get to the point where we're going to have to force our leaders to provide us with data, provide us with science, provide us with the information to prove why we don't need beards. I know they talk about, well, you can't get a seal, if you have a beard, but that has been not medically, but it's been scientifically debunked that you can get a seal, you know, if you have a beard. And it's true that, you know, the issues that the issues as far as like razor bumps and things of that nature, it does affect, black people or black airmen and black military members more than it affect white or any other race. I'm not saying that these other races can't have the same afflictions. I'm not saying that, but a majority of the time, it affects black military members more than the other race military members. And just by the rhetoric that's being used right now, the word is the verbiage, everything that's being said right now, it is sort of painting a picture of, you know, you targeting you're targeting black people. I'm not saying that that is what you're doing, but again, it's just the verbiage, it's the language, it's everything that's being said. I read an article from the army saying that if you have razor bumps, you can be kicked out. And why would you say, if you get razor bumps, you can be kicked out when razor bumps affect a majority of a certain race over the others? Things like that. It kind of, it's a little sus.
But he once again knew who would respond and how we would respond. You know what I'm saying? If you look at his verbiage, if you look at his actions, his attitude, his demeanor towards that video, you can clearly tell that there's some underlying hate or some issue that he has with the people that obtain those said profiles. You know what I'm saying? The reason I say there's a rage war, because if he's saying military protocol, etc., etc., the army was this, that, and the third before people of color were able to join. Granted. With that being said, if that's the case, military protocol has been that way. Thus, blonde hair, blue eyes. So that means regulation wasn't put in place for me. You can shave and not break out because the protocol was written for you. So yes, there's a race war going on because we can't act exactly how you act. Once again, the protocol wasn't meant for me. Meaning I shave and I break out, but you shave and you don't break out, and not that's
I don't want to go as far to say there's a race war going on. I think race war is a bit extreme, and that is the type of rhetoric that, if not checked and if not, I don't want to say regulated, but if not, properly explained or given context behind, people can run with that and it can turn into a whole different situation. So I wouldn't say that there's a race war. I would just say it's people stuck in their ways. It's people who grew up with this certain view or a certain sense of the military, and they're still trying to grasp onto that, and they're not trying to evolve into a different way of thinking. I think that it's more so of the good old boys. They want everything to be like how it was back in the day, clean shaven, certain behaviors, and they're not really trying to catch up with the times. So I think it's more of that than a race war. I think a race war is a bit extreme.
not to say it's intricate to every person that's not of color. They shave and they don't break out, but it's very, very seldom that they do. You don't see a person that's not of color with the profile as much as you see a person of color with the profile because they don't deal.
I agree with that. And that's why I say that the language that people are using when describing beards, it can be misconstrued as racially charged. It can be misconstrued as you're attacking one group of people and you're not attacking another group of people. I would have never came out and said that, you know, n- I'm kicking people off for razor bumps, essentially. Because if you look at the data, if you look at who's getting these shaving waivers, it's more black people. It is what it is. You're going to see more black men getting shaving waivers. You want to see more black men with razor bumps and who's having these issues over white men or Hispanic men. It's just what it is. And I would have never put that type of rhetoric out there. I would have never put that type of language out there. And I would have came up with another course of action. I know we talk about COAs a lot in the military. I just feel like the course action that they took was kind of shitty, and they're suffering a blowback from it right now.
with the same issues, coily hair versus straight hair. So yeah, the reason I say there's a rage war is because that video was simply put out to bring forth more divide and bring forth more confusion. He knew what he was doing. That's why he
I agree with that too. I do believe the video was to bring out more confusion because you're just putting you're just throwing things out there, right? You're throwing terms and phrases out there, right? You're saying things with absolutes, and you're coming off as the old cranky white guy when that might not even be what you're trying to come off as. But it's just already what you're saying is how you coming off as. There are a lot of other things going on in the military that can be fixed, like PCSs, like household people are losing their household goods. People's household goods are coming to their new duty station damaged. The suicides going on. The sexual assaults that are happening in the military. There are a lot of other things that can be corrected other than beards. I really don't understand the attack on beards, especially if you line it up, if you maintain it, it can look professional. I know before then there was this whole professional thing, but I think it's BS, right? I honestly think it's just some of the leaders they can't grow beards personally, so they try to take it out on everybody else. But you know, hey,
retired to do it. He was too scared because that's the hate that he's had. That's the hate that a lot of these NCOs and higher ups have. So guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna get on your ass about your hair. They're gonna get on your ass about your nails. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it in person. That's the only reason I'm able to make this video because I've seen it in person. I've seen a person that wasn't of color have hair color that wasn't natural to her skin color, but they get yelled at. But a black girl with a blonde do got yelled at because it's not intricate to her skin. So yeah, there's a rage war going on and nobody wants to talk about it.
yeah, I think it's gonna come a time where leadership needs to come out and start explaining stuff. I know they don't like to explain things. I know they feel like, well, I'm General so and so, I'm Colonel so and so. I don't have to explain anything, but in order to keep the peace, in order to keep the camaraderie, in order to keep the spirit de corps, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to come out and explain to everybody why you're making the decision that you're making. You're going to have to come out there with scientific evidence to back up the claims that you're having. Because right now, a lot of people just want to think that you're making these decisions based off of personal bias. And that's you're going to get things like people are trying to say that you're trying to start a race war, or people are going to say you're just attacking one group of people over another group of people, or people are going to say that you're just trying to make the military, you just want to keep it blonde hair, blue eyes. Like nobody's communicating, nobody's saying anything, and you have these old boomers, these old retired guys who saw it done in their way. You're having them speak up, and they're speaking for you, and they're not the ones making decisions in the boardroom in these meetings and things like that. So if you're not going to say anything, people are just going to listen to the other guys who had leadership, to the retirement guys, and where they're just going to take that and they're just going to, if he thinks like that, everybody else thinks like that. So yeah, leadership's going to have to step up and do their job and be a leader and talk and communicate and be transparent. They're gonna have to have some type of transparency and just let everybody know why they're making the decisions that they're making. I don't know. What do I know? Thank you for the, let me know. Jesus can't talk. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I see you on the next one. Peace.